transformed her life. She gradually moved to the second phase as a social entrepreneur for the cause of promoting ancient cultural heritage knowledge and legacies. She is an honored member of India International Center and associated with leading eminent organizations like Archaeological Survey of India, Indira Gandhi National Center of Arts, Indian Council for Historical Research, Indian Council Cultural Relations, C.P. Ramaswamy Institute of Ideological Research, etc. Highly disturbed by the grave destruction and neglect to Kampilia, the protected site under Archaeological Survey of India, Government of India, disrespect for heritage, serious misconceptions, and lack of proper knowledge of our ancient history in our society, she established her trust in 2003, dedicated to create a better understanding and appreciation of ancient civilization, culture, and history of India, in which status of women of ancient Bharat are critical. Draupadi represents three critical aspects of unearthing of and awareness about the correct ancient knowledge of India by ancient heritage legacies, women empowerment, ancient women empowerment, and gender parity. The national significance of a remarkable contribution through Draupadi Dream Trust can be assessed from the fact that she, as the chairperson of the trust, has very successfully so far convened and organized over 8 international and 8 national conferences. She has 7 books, many articles, papers, and talks to her credit on the subject of civilization, culture, and women. As a person responsible for showcasing Indian culture, India International Center invited her to be an honored member in 2014 based on recommendations signed by Srimati Tara Gandhi Bhattacharjee, the granddaughter of Mahatma Gandhi, then chairperson of Gandhi Smriti and Darshan Smriti. She is a writer. She has many feathers in her cap. She is a writer, editor, professor in government and private colleges, and also shares her research at various national and international platforms. She has over 7 books to her credit and many written articles and presented papers, and we are honored that she is a part of our program today. Thank you.
Wonderful, Neeraji. We would like to hear from you now.
Thank you. That was really nicely detailed, and it humbles me a lot when I hear somebody saying whatever. I myself don't know what I have achieved, but as she said, my interest in ancient history and culture and in Sanatan Dharma, Sanatan Sanskriti, has drawn me to this very important but much neglected topic. When Delhi, is properly known today, but it is still in the memory, in the public memory, and in inscriptions in so many places. It is still Indraprasth. How I got involved in Indraprasth is basically I was actually trying to work on the Uttar Pradesh heritage, especially of the Kampilya region. But I came across some very disturbing news that some people were trying to change the name of Indraprasth to a name related to a Mughal era, which was very confusing to me because I knew this as either Delhi or Indraprasth. So, without much ado, I'd like to take you through a brief journey of our capital territory, capital city state of current Delhi but ancient Indraprasth. I would like to show you one small graph to give you an idea about the antiquity of this place. Sorry. I have to put on the. I'm sharing the screen, so can you? It's not opening. Why it's not opening? The screen is not opening. Can you see my screen? I've clicked on it.
You have to share your screen, ma'am.
Yeah, I've shared. So I've clicked on share screen, that green button.
जी.
उसको मैंने क्लिक करा.
पर शायद अभी
कैसे करना होगा मुझे? मैंने उसको क्लिक करा.
एक सेकेंड।
शेयरिंग के लिए हमें नीरा जी को होस्ट या होस्ट बनाना
हाँ
पड़ेगा।
हाँ, आपने मुझे होस्ट बनाना होगा तभी मैं शेयर कर पाऊंगी। हाँ
हाँ, होस्ट या होस्ट दोनों में से एक भी।
हाँ हाँ, इज इट पॉसिबल टू डू दैट?
जी जी जी
आपको मुझे होस्ट या को होस्ट बनाना पड़ेगा।
जी जी, आई हैव डन इट नाउ।
मुझे मालूम होता तो मैं पहले से इसको आपको भेज देती। सो यू हैव डन इट, सो नाउ इफ आई क्लिक इट विल ओपन।
जी जी
वन सेक। ये है हमारा, नहीं दिस इज नॉट द वन, ये कुछ और खुल गया है। हाउ डू आई नो? दिस इज माय पीपीटी, ये रहा, खुल गया।
जी जी जी, we can
आपको
see it.
दिखाई दे रहा है?
हाँ हाँ
दिखाई दे रहा है ना?
जी जी जी।
तो मैं इसको फुल स्क्रीन कर दूं तो आपको इजी पड़ेगा। आई एम सॉरी, आई हैव अ लिटिल आई प्रॉब्लम, तो मुझे थोड़ा सा वो होता है।
अभी दिखाई दे रहा है मैम।
इसको
F5 दबा दें।
प्ले कर दीजिए इसको।
हाँ वही मैं कर रही हूँ।
F5।
शिफ्ट F5 जी, अभी पूरा दिखा है।
वंडरफुल।
हाँ,
हाँ
तो आज का हमारा जो टॉपिक है वो यही है, इंद्रप्रस्थ टू दिल्ली अ कैपिटल जर्नी। तो मैं टू बिगिन विथ आई वुड लाइक टू शो यू दिस ग्राफ। अब
जी
आप इसमें देख रहे हैं, मेरे में तो शायद से थोड़ा सा कट रहा है, लेकिन आपको दिख रहा होगा कि ये मैंने एक लाइन बनाई है, टाइम लाइन ऑफ एंटिक्विटी ऑफ दिस प्लेस.
जी
We had done a lot of international conferences and research with leading scholars of the world, including archaeologists as well as people who do astronomical dating. See, we have to remember our texts contain a lot of astronomical data because our ancient rishis, especially Varahamira and Vedavyasa, were very, very astute astronomers also. So when we did this dating, we actually, when I came to know about the renaming, I went to just do the calculation. So if you see this date, 1192 is the point where Prithvi Chauhan was defeated. After that is the date of 1857 when the mutiny started. So the Britishers came in 1857 and they left in 1947. So totally, technically, they had a rule of 90 years. And these, the Sultanate in the Mughal period was from 1192 to 1857. So approximately about 655 years. Now, before that, from 1192, if we go back in time, how do we know when was Indraprasth established? So as per the dating based on the astronomical data contained in the Mahabharata book, Professor Narhari Achar, who is based in Memphis University, USA, he came to our conference in 2012. After that, we have had a series of other people working on astronomical dating. He has come to the conclusion that the war started in BC 3067. So if we add 3067 BCE to today's 2021, we can estimate what is the period, approximately 5,000 plus. So from the time Delhi was taken over by the Sultanate and the Mughal till today, it's about 4,000 plus years. So the antiquity of this place goes back to that era. So today's Delhi is actually erstwhile Indraprasth, the city that was established by the Pandavas with the help of, over the blessings of Sri Krishna, and its antiquity goes down to almost 5,000 years. One thing I want to, before getting into further detailing, tell you that the research on the actual dating of the epic and the war, etc., is still an ongoing process. So we will gradually, I mean, there are some scholars who are disputing. Some are saying it is, the war happened 5,600 years ago. Some are saying it happened 1,400 years ago. So that is going on. But the main issue that we must remember is that Indraprasth was the first city that was set up here in this area, which we know as Delhi NCT. Interestingly, when Indraprasth was set up, it was also a city-state. So the Indraprasth was the Mahajanpad of the Pandavas, and there was also the capital area of the Pandavas. So now comes the question that what was the width of this Janpada and what was the area of the capital area. The journey of the capital is going back to Indraprasth, as I've just said. Later, all the rulers who came, they first established themselves at the Indraprasth fort, that is the Killa of Indraprasth. There is a book, हमारे यहाँ एक प्रचलित होता है, that every ancient city has a Mahatma. Like we have a Kampil Mahatma, there is a Mathura Mahatma. So there is a Indraprasth Mahatma. The Indraprasth Mahatma gives the geographical directions and location of the city, of the Janpad, as well as compares its sacredness to the Tirath of Prayagraj, Pushkar, Haridwar, Dwarka. So they say it is such a significant city that it's a pilgrimage. And so Indraprasth is also referred in many. How do we know that Indraprasth was there? That is one question. So many people doubt the Mahabharata and the Puranas, which thankfully now after 2017, we have been able to establish that it is Itihasa. Itihasa is history. So there are a lot of inscriptions that are found that mention Indraprasth. Now, this is a map that is located at the Purana Killa Site Museum, where the excavations had taken place. Incidentally, the Purana Killa on Mathura Road is actually recorded even by the British as Indrapath area. And there was a revenue district of an Indraprasth Pargana, and there are mentions of the population and the revenue collected. But I am not going into that. I'm just going through how Indraprasth became Delhi. Excavations have proven its antiquity. Now, this map tells us what is the width of that area that is given to the Pandavas. We all know that Indraprasth was the result of a political decision. When the five Pandavas won the Draupadi, Arjuna won the Draupadi Swayamvar, and the five Pandavas, married Draupadi, Dhritarashtra realized something very critical. He said, these Pandavas are much more powerful Yodhas than my son. That is one strength they have. Now they have got a matrimonial alliance with the most powerful kingdom. After Kuru, Panchal was the most powerful kingdom. Incidentally, it may be interesting to know that before Panchala was created, Kuru and Panchal were one big Janpada, Mahajanpad. But Panchal area, being the intellectual and the Shodhwala people, the Adhyatmic people, they separated and they called it Panch Anchal. 5 areas, 5 tribes got together to form a confederation. So first historical confederation, political confederation is also Panchal. So Panchal was a very powerful kingdom and Raja Drupad was very powerful. So the 5 areas that are mentioned are actually Bagpat, Tilpat, Sonipat, Panipat and Indrapat. Now Indrapat was the area of the Khandaprastha. So it was a forest area where the Nagas, etc. ruled, and we are all familiar that in Mahabharata that they burnt the forest. And they burnt the forest to take out this. And Prastha word means the flat area on this was a hilly area. It is actually a part of the Aravalli range. So the flat area within this mountain range. So the reason this area was chosen because it was on the banks of the river river Yamuna, and it was the flat area. So Dhritarashtra decided to divide the kingdom into 2 in order to protect the interest of his son Duryodhan. Otherwise, Duryodhan would have lost the whole of kingdom. The whole Kuru kingdom would have gone to the Pandavas because they were so powerful. So he decided to divide it and gave them these 5 areas. So the area of Indraprasth was almost a little more actually than the current NCR region, National Capital Territory region. And they created a beautiful city called Indraprasth. This basically was on the banks of the Yamuna and on the, this is on the Mathura road. And you could say it's the New Delhi area. The New Delhi area was the area of this main capital city, and the Pandav Killa, the Indraprasth Killa, which is still there on a hillock on Mathura Road, was the area where the Pandavas actually ruled from. So the important greh that you remember that jisme wo Duryodhan had fallen into that pool of water, so that was created here. But his Rajasuya Yag was done on the banks of Yamuna and Rajghat, which is near the North Campus area. Now, so this is an impression of an artist. So many artists have given different impressions of how the Indraprasth looked like. And this is what the Killa, because you see, these are all created by reading through the writings. So the writings show that they were all white walls and they were tall walls and there were a lot of greenery created, lot of plants, water bodies created by the Pandavas because they had destroyed a sort of a forest. So they replenished that forest. So if you will notice the area of the zoo, so you will find flora, very, very clearly mentioned, the flora and fauna were replenished by the Pandavas. They created small areas for the artisans, some areas for the intellectual people, some areas for the trading people. So different areas were created. From what we understand from tradition, the Sonipat area was the artisans area. The Sunar, Kahar, Lohar, etc., etc. And I'll tell you something very interesting related to the Lohar, the Lohe ka kaam of that was important here. And the Panipat area was the Panaprastha area. That was for the trading community. Tilpat was more of an agricultural area and Bagpat was more of a religious area. So that way, they had sort of bifurcated. Now, this is again an artist's drawing. When Yudhishthir crowned himself king at Indraprasth, almost 100 kings who's who of that time had come and participated. And this is a sort of an artist's view of the importance of Indraprasth as the political beacon of life, political power center of those times. And one more thing I would like to tell you here when I'm talking about this, you see, we are all very familiar in our language, we call this the Dwapar area, Dwapar period. When you talk to a historian of today's time, especially of the DU and the JNU types, etc., they will say, what is Dwapar? In fact, one historian told me, see, they know history as of modern, medieval, and ancient. For them, modern is there, they call it the colonial rule, the medieval is the Mughal rule, and the ancient is more up to maybe the Maurya rule, the Mauryas and the Guptas, etc. They cannot conceive, they cannot visualize that a civilization can be as old as this, because they had prefixed a date of 4000 BC for the creation of the world. So they were trying to fix everything, every history into their parameter, into their boxes, So, but the Dwapar era, Treta era, and the Satyug, Dwapar Yug, Treta Yug, Satyug, in our ancient history, the Vedic period, when the rishis were there, when they were writing Vedas, the Rig Veda, etc., is the Satyug area, where absolutely everybody was so pure and there was no pollution, mental or emotional pollution or intellectual pollution. Then came the Treta Yura, is basically connected to Ram, the rule of Ram, how Ram Rajya, the value systems of Dharma, etc. And Dwapar is the era of Krishna, we know that. And this is the time when Dharma ludak raha tha, Dharma was becoming shaky. And so Indraprasth was created to preserve Dharma. So it is very important to know that the creation of Indraprasth was very, very not only politically important, but even important from the sacred point of view, that we have to protect our dharma. Dharma means, dharma is not religion in our sense, as per Sanatan concept. Dharma is rules of governance, principles of life that determine, that make life sustainable, that is, they are in tune with the universal laws of nature. The cosmic laws of nature define our dharma. So this is how it is. After Yudhishthir, what happened? So after Yudhishthir, we do have a little, information about, there is this very interesting, even besides our vernacular history, Parjita was one of the important persons who translated the Puranas and tried to bring out the dynasty of the Aryans. So the Puranic rulers ki dynasty, Parjita has sort of, done that work. And even these Alexander Cunningham, who was the first Director General of Archaeological Survey of India, has gone through all that. But we had somebody called Dayanand Saraswati, Swami Dayanand Saraswati. He did a very, very seminal work. Actually, there is a mandir in Udaipur called the Nath Dwara Mandir. So they take out patrikas and journals, and they're called Hari Chandrika, and they're also called Mohan Chandrika. So they had published a sort of a Vanshavali of different kings. This Vanshavali we also find in Kalhan, the historian of Kashmir, because there will be a link to Kashmir here also. So he also analyzed, and he gives a total rule. He gives a total rule from Yudhishthir up to the time of Yashpal. Yashpal was just before Prithviraj Chauhan. Okay. So before that, till then, there were 124 rulers. They ruled for a total of 4,157 years, 9 months, and 14 days. And an average age of the ruler was about 33 to 34 years. And then, there is no dispute up to the time of Shemek. Shemek was the 30th ruler from Yudhishthir. But again, they've also given the complete, list of House of Yudhishthir. The House of Yudhishthir, actually, they were ruled collectively, all of them together, for 1,770 years. 11 months and 10 years, and their average age was about 59 years. So his seminal work of Swami Dayanand Saraswati, as well as our Puranas, the Vishnu Puran, the Bhagavad Puran, the Shiv Puran, these Puranas, they mention, we have not been told in the last 1,000 years. We have been disconnected with our history. These are all itihasa. Puranas were not written out of imagination. They are not literature in the sense that we know literature today. The sad part is that the books, epics, Mahabharata and Ramayana are taught internationally in the schools of divinity abroad as books of religion. And in India, Mahabharata and Ramayana are confined to studying Mahakavya, the literary aspect, the beauty of the poetry, and a Darshan Shastra. We do not see the Itihasa and the Bhugol of our nation written, embedded in them. That is phenomenal, So during the time of the Mahabharata, there were 80 kingdoms. We don't know that. There were 122 rivers mentioned. There were, and everything. I have, like, those details are there, but I'll not go into this. So our Puranas, even our Bhagavad Puran mentions a lot of, places and, kingdoms and acharyas and things like that. So we have to understand that so as I told you, Shamaka, the Prime Minister Vishwa, killed the Emperor Shamaka and began to rule himself, and 14 emperors belonging to the house of his house, that is this Vishwa, ruled here. So, we have this lineage of, there were 5, after the Pandavas, the Krishna's Vanshas ruled. Then the Gautamas came. So different times, different rulers have been ruling, but we should come back to history of Delhi, because what will happen is, again, we will, there are too many rulers, and if we go into all that, it will take too much time. It is very important to know, as I said, that antiquity, I said, was more than 4,000 or 5,000 years ago. So how do we know the antiquity? We know the antiquity through the our astronomical dating, as well as through archaeological dating. Now, in archaeology, again, there is a lot of dispute about the type of dating, and I'll come to that. This is a map that was created by Alexander's geographer Ptolemy. Now, Ptolemy tells us two places. He mentions both Indrapata and Dadicha. Dadicha is referred to as Delhi. So when do we first come to know about Delhi? This is from the foreign sources, but from the Indian sources, okay, incidentally, in terms of antiquity, I want to tell you that there is also an inscription of in Purana Killa till 1914. There was a living habitation of concrete habitation of the Indraprastha, Pargana or the district of Indraprastha. And while the Britishers were wanting to bring their capital from Calcutta to here, they were cleaning that habitation, removing them. And there they found an inscription of Raja Bhoj of the Pratihara king. So you can imagine that there is this antiquity, also living antiquity through the inscription. We have, so this is one inscription, plus there are excavations done by ASI as well as the Delhi government, and all parts of Delhi have come to one particular culture which is common to Mahabharata culture, which has been the research of Professor B.B. Lal, Padma Vibhushan he got this year. He started excavation from Hastinapur in 1954. And there he found a particular type of culture which is known as the painted graveware. Now that painted graveware culture, he said, if this culture is in Hastinapur, let me see if it is also in other places which are linked to the Mahabharata epic. And fortunately, or it's good luck, or it's we are very fortunate that we found this culture in all places linked to Mahabharata, and especially in Delhi, in Indraprastha, across the city. It's not only in Purana Killa, but across the city. In fact, adjacent to the Purana Killa is a monument which is called the Humayun's tomb, but there is no tomb which mentions the name of Humayun there. There are 11 tombs inside. So again, now they're trying to find the Dara Shikoh tomb also inside there. So these places, then there's Borgarh, there's Mandika, there's so many places across Delhi have found the painted graveware pottery remains during excavation. That means this place is linked to the painted graveware culture, which is linked to the era of Mahabharata. Now, the chronology of excavations actually is, I don't think is all that important but anyway, I'll tell you that in 1954, Professor Lal started the excavations, 1954-55. Then there was excavations from 1969 to 72, again by ASI. Then in 2013 and 14, latest again ASI has done. And every time they have found layers of different periods, the Gupta period, the Shunga period, the modern period, the medieval, the Sultanate period. They have found remains of all that. That means that this place has had a living civilization for every generation of this rule here. Now, something very important to know now is that what is the linkage of Delhi now? So as I said, we first hear of Delhi from the writing of, from the map of Alexander. But very interestingly, in 1870s, there was an inscription found at the Raisina Hill. Raisina Hill is the place where there is this Rashtrapati Bhavan. And there is a small village called Sarban village. So an inscription was found there. And there in that inscription, it mentions Dillika, Yoginipura, and Indraprastha. So Yoginipura was also a name of this place. How did it get the name Yoginipura? It is the Mehrauli area. So how did Mehrauli get its name? Mehrauli got its name from Varaha Mira. There is this temple which the Qutub complex has 27 temples that were destroyed. They were actually the 27 Lakshatra temples. And that was the observatory point, and there is this huge minar which they call the Qutub Minar. Actually, it was a minar for them to study to sort of observe the skies. Okay, so that area Mehrauli got its name, and there is this temple called the Yog Maya temple. Yog Maya is considered the sister of Sri Krishna. So that is one of the oldest temples over here. And this, of course, the 27 Nakshatra temples were made much later. Then what happened is that during the year somewhere around 329 BC, there was a ruler at Kashmir. He sent his brother here, and his brother was actually a ruler from Kannauj. So Raja Dhelu was a ruler from Kannauj, and Raja Dhelu came, and he sort of came and established himself at the Indraprasth Killa, which is the Purana Killa. And then this is, see, now the dates are going to be a little difficult, because as I said, that different people are giving different dates. But as per my latest research, there is one person who works in the Ministry of Defense. He's taken out a book, series of 4 books called The Chronology of Indian History from Mahabharata to Buddha. So in that, he has mentioned all the dates till Buddha, and after Buddha, then there's a recalculation. So as per that, around 1000 BCE, the area of Mehroli was known as Yoginipura, and the hillock was known as Vishnupada Gira. Now at Vishnupada Gira is the iron pillar dedicated to Vishnu. 1000 BC, according to Firishta. Now what happens, we all know that when the Mughals came, they were also studying and writing the history of India, and they were also taking the support of local scholars and local writings to understand the history of India. And according to Firishta, the fort of Jammu remained under the possession of the Gakhars. Now the Raja there, the Qaid Raja there, appointed Jai Chand as his governor in Delhi. And Raja Dhelu, the younger brother of Jai Chand, actually, that is about 1000 BCE to 1030 BC to 1040 BC, came under his rule. So Raja Dhelu was appointed here, and it is from Raja Dhelu that it is credited that the name Delhi came to be known. Now there is another, now why are they called Anangpals? So there is a reference in Kalhan's book, and there is also a reference in a book by some of a Kashmiri writer. I'll just tell you, the name of the book is Kuttu Mani Mata by Damodara Gupta, which talks about this incident of Jai Chand appointing here, and it also mentions something very interesting, that Harshavardhana, who was actually the ruler of the whole North India, was ruling from Kurukshetra at that time. So he acquired the title of Angapala, because Indraprasth was an Ang of the Kuru dynasty. So he also acquired the name Angapal. So whoever came to rule at Delhi called himself the Anga. So Angapala means the protector of this Ang of the larger nation of the Kurus. So Angapal I, he ruled during the 1030 to 1040 BC, almost say about 40 years. And he established himself here, and through him the name was coming. But the real, you should say, the foundation that was more concrete of Delhi was from Anangpal II. Because after Anangpal I, when Anangpal II came, he re-established himself, and he built this huge fort called the Lal Kot. Again, that is also in the area of Mehroli, the Lal Kot area. And it is said that during his time, there was this pillar there, and he was told by an astrologer that, you know, your reign is going to be as strong and embedded as this, and there is Shesh Nag wo aapko protect kar rahe hain. So he had some doubt. He wanted it shifted to some place, so he got it out and he wanted to shift it. While they were refixing it, it could not be fixed properly. So the story goes around that it was the Killi was Dhilli. I'll just show you that picture, the Killi Dhilli. Yeah, so this is the Killi Dhilli story. Killi Dhilli. Now this Killi Dhilli story is mentioned in Prithviraj Raso. So the story of Prithviraj has been written in the Rajasthani language, and this also mentions there that one of the reasons that Dilli became popular was Killi Dilli, Killi Dilli, Killi Dilli. But originally it comes from the Raja Dhellu's name. Now, coming to the iron pillar, also there is a mention by some historians, and even one Mughal historian has mentioned that the linkage of, there is a mention of a king there on the iron pillar, Chandra. So the modern historians have actually confused the name Chandra with Chandragupta Maurya. So it is not the Chandragupta Maurya who's mentioned there, because the iron pillar has much more greater antiquity. Now, Sir Ahmad Khan has written, Said Ahmad Khan has also written that this pillar has a much greater antiquity than is mentioned by the modern historians. And he says that this pillar was constructed by Raja Mahadeva, who was one of the descendants of Yudhishthir and who reigned in the year 895 BCE. Now, when Ahmad says 895 BCE, that means again much before, much before Anangpal II. So Anangpal II comes after 1030 BCE. So the iron pillar, now I'm trying to tell you something very interesting about the iron part of it. The Buddhist literature, the Buddhist literature, the Buddhist texts mention that Buddha used to get his blades and needles, that is again iron based, from Indrapat. That means there was a very active metallurgy work happening in this area. Just imagine making this huge pillar and having that engraving in it, and it is still surviving. So this area was linked to a very important metallurgy industry, and that is why I think it is. I personally feel that it is wrong to say that it was bought from somewhere, which modern historians are trying to assess. So the inscription of Anangpal II also mentions about this in his this thing is Samvat 1109. Now, Arya, Vedveer Arya, who's written this chronology from Mahabharata to Buddha, what he says is, and he has given us documentary proof, that after independence, we were told to structure the Panchang, because we follow the Panchang, and as per Panchang we are in Samvat 2077. So we are already, there's a difference of 76 years over here. But he says that one epoch of our history was completely wiped out by the Britishers, because they could not understand that there could be anything so antique. I mean, there could be so much of antiquity too, because as I said, they had to fix everything to the 4000 BC. Now, so one thing is we have to remember very well, it has been very well documented by Carl Stephen, the historian, who wrote on Delhi's ruins and monumental remains. Then there is another Henry Ford, sorry?
Good evening.
Am I going too much fast, or am I completing my time? Just tell me so that I can.
No, I think Neeraj ji was talking to someone and his mic was unmuted. So please go on. It's very interesting. We want to hear more.
Okay. So we have to know that there is a link of the Pandav family. Sorry, I'm going in the wrong way. There is a link of the Pandav family to the iron pillar, as well as to the Lalkot, that is Anangpal's people also. Okay. Now the Pala dynasty was defeated by the Chauhan dynasty, and that history I'm not going into, but the question today is that Indraprasth to Delhi. So how Delhi became Delhi? And the historical books of Carl Stephen, as well as Henry Cole, in which he writes the ancient Delhi. On both are writing on ancient Delhi, and they both very clearly mention that Anangpal I came, established himself on Indraprasth Killa, and Anangpal II later on created the Lalkot area. And that is how we have come to know that. And the Delhi, you see kya hota hai, that we have, many people have two names, but they become popular by their nickname. अब घर में आपका नाम राजेश होगा, but आपका nickname मुन्नू होगा या मुन्ना होगा, तो people know you as Munna. So even if you after 10 generations, people say, अच्छा हाँ मुन्ना दादा के वंशज हैं. So same way, this has happened with Delhi, that it has kept on to the name of this. And also, I think there was a lot of, when the Britishers came here, they created a city called New Delhi. So they wanted to retain Delhi. They wanted to retain Delhi. Obviously, everybody wanted to, but nobody wanted to remove Indraprasth, because Indraprasth has that halo. It has that aura. It has that importance of a city established for dharma. So everybody wants to be related to Indraprasth, but they do not want to. They do not want to, Delhi becomes an easy, because it is all very much in the popular jargon. Delhi has become popular. It started Delhi. Some people say that Delhi name came from Dalip king. Dalip is the descendant of Sagar, who was involved in the creation of Maya Ganga. But it cannot be, because Indraprasth was established much later. It was established during the time of the Pandavas. So it cannot be to Dalip. And Dahlij bhi kehte hain kuch log ke Dahlij, it is the Dahlij to rule India. So that is why some of the Mughals also started taking on the name of Delhi, Dahlij karke. But the real thing is that it came from Raja Dellu, and also the Dilli Killi made it so popular that the name is actually now retained as Delhi. I'd like to show you some important, I've already told you about the inner, so these are some old pictures. Now, if you see these old pictures of Purana Killa, whatever you see today of Purana Killa is basically done after 1970. After the partition, education was, culture was under Education Ministry. Education was under Maulana Azad. And after that, we had 5 ministers who were all Muslims. So there was an agenda. I have an article, tale of 2 committees, which I will forward it to Gyanergy, and you can circulate that, because I don't want to discuss that now. So there was a deliberate attempt to Mughlicize Delhi. And how to do that was to transform all buildings, especially the Purana Killa area, because other things had already been established here. The Purana Killa area, because which is so intrinsically, emotionally connected to. See, this is popularly known as Indra Ka Khera. It is known as Indrapat. It is known as Pandav Killa. Even today, in fact, about 10 days back, I met a gentleman who stays in Sundar Nagar, which is the rear side of Purana Killa. And he is about 55 or 60 years old. And he told me, "Ki, madam, when we were small, we used to be playing inside Purana Killa. And we also knew it only as Pandav Killa. We never knew it as Purana Killa." Interestingly, a 1925-26 publication of the Archaeological Survey of India, which mentions the Raja Bhoj inscription, also mentions this area as Indraprasth. It is found inside the Indraprasth Killa complex. So if it is known as Indraprasth Killa at that time in 25 and 26, 1925-26, how come today it got known as Purana Killa, and the area was to be renamed in 2015, that's when I got into this research, as Deenpana. So I was a little foxed. I said, how do you find archaeological and archaeological remains of Deenpana? You're talking of archaeological park, and this place is very important. from that angle, scientific study, archaeological study. So there is no remains of Deepana. Secondly, when Humayun came, Aine-Akbari, Abul Fazl's Aine-Akbari mentions that Humayun came and he established himself at Indrapat Kila, and then he created a small area there which he called Dinpana, where he wanted to establish his religious people. Now remember, each of them had been reading our Mahabharata, they were getting their translations and reading it, and they knew that the Pandavas had established these little areas for the religious people. So, but he was defeated by Sher Shah Suri, and then when he came back after 5 years, he only ruled for 3-4 months. So he could not have technically created a place or a huge place called Dinpana. And this place was known as Shergarh also in the name of Sher Shah Suri. But on record, and official records, in the imperial city record of the DDA, it is still referred to as Indrapat Pargana. In the inscriptions, there is another inscription that was found in Narayana area. So what gives us the area of the width also is that you find inscriptions from different parts of the area of NCR, which are talking of Indraprastha. Then all our gazetteers, the gazetteers of Punjab, the gazetteer of Delhi, the gazetteer of Haryana, all these gazetteers are mentioning this place as the original Indraprastha. And very interestingly and thankfully, I'm very satisfied. So this image, what I was trying to show you is that Purana Kila did not look like this. It was given a Mughal touch after 1970 when ASI entered, opened an office inside a school. There is a school there. Incidentally, there was a school running by the name of Indraprastha School. And where will the Indraprastha School go now? So now they told them that, okay, they got them a place allotted outside the Kila, and incidentally that place is on that school is now on a place on Pandara Road. Now let me tell you something very interesting. In official records, it was supposed to be Pandav Road, the road leading to the Pandav Kila. But they say there was a technical error, a misunderstanding by the clerk. So the V became R. He could not read the V and he read R. So it became Pandara Road. But the school people, what they have done is that in the building, outside of the building, they have created a painting of the Purana Kila to remember that originally they were inside the Purana Kila. So there was this school known as Indraprastha School, and this Indraprastha School is now outside the Kila, and there was this ASI building, and then they have been going on an agenda, and of course the agenda is to get Delhi declared as a heritage city under UNESCO, as a Mughal city, which is not a correct thing because Indraprastha is not a Mughal city. And Purana Kila has an area called the Kilai Kona. There's a building. If you ever visit that place, you will see something very interesting. All the pillars, like the pillars at Qutub Minar, they have motifs which are very, very Vedic. There are Vedic motifs on the pillars. Secondly, there is a temple called Kunti Temple, which is inside the premises of the Purana Kila. So Purana Kila's antiquity, Indraprastha antiquity goes back to 5,000 years ago, and Delhi's antiquity goes back to around 1000 BCE. So Delhi started being known as, the Indraprastha started being known both as Delhi and Indraprastha, but it just happened that Delhi became a part of the larger Indraprastha. But gradually, for political reasons and for official work, etc., it was being finally transformed into the full Delhi. I'd like to show you some interesting pictures of course, these are all pictures of, so there is this, you can see this, you can see here the Qutub Minar, and this is the old fort here. So, it's very close by, it's not all that far, And then we have some interesting pictures. So what are the highlights of Delhi's ancient heritage? It would be interesting to know what are the highlights of Delhi. These are all the names of the kings and all. I'm not going into this. There is this Ashokan edict that was discovered in the 60s, 1960s, 1960s, which talks about a path, a road leading from Indrapat to Tilpat. So that means that they continued with the knowledge of Tilpat and Indrapat even during the Ashokan period. Then, of course, there is this iron pillar inscription which talks about Chandra, Raja Chandra and Vishnu Padagiri. I think the hillock on which the iron pillar was, Vishnu's iron pillar was made. This is the inscription of Sarman that I was telling you about, where in which it was found near the Raisina hill. And it is mentioned that there is a place, somebody is dedicating a well for the community and saying, I'm doing it on this date, Samvat and all that, in a place called Sarban village in the Bargana of Indraprasth. This is the Narayana inscription. This is interestingly linked to Uttar Pradesh. There was a time when there was, there are times when there was not a direct ruler. As I said, now that this ruler of Jammu, he got his brother to, made governor of Delhi, and then this governor got his brother Raja Dehlu to rule Delhi. There was a time when there was not much of a ruler in Delhi. So there is this in Machli Shahar in Sultanpur district of Uttar Pradesh near Jaunpur. This Machli Shahar inscription also says that the ruler of that area is the Sangrakshak, is the protector of the place called our pilgrimage place called Indraprasth. So Indraprasth has lived on in spite of this, people trying to call it Delhi. Our motto is Satyameva Jayate. So truth is never hidden. This is from the Yogmaya temple that I told you, images of the Yogmaya temple. This is an interesting place on the Rajghat. I told you that when Yudhishthir crowned him, when the crowning ceremony of Yudhishthir was happening, तो इनका होता है ना एक राजस्वी यज्ञ होता है. तो राजस्वी यज्ञ राजघाट पे इन्होंने करा था. That point is this, which is now the government has put up this image and all over there. And iske bagal mein there is a Neeli Chhatri temple also, which was again renovated during the period of the the Chauhans. So the Rajput kings actually renovated it. So linked to Indraprasth, we have this Rajghat ka area, we have the Yogmaya temple, we have the Iron Pillar, we have the Neeli Chhatri temple, and Kalkaji Mandir is also considered to be very, very ancient, but not much literature is available at the moment. One more interesting thing I'd like to tell you about Delhi. This is a dam that was created by Anangpal. It's called the Anangpal. It is near Surajkund. So it is in that area of Surajkund, and Anangpal did a lot of renovation. He also renovated the Yogmaya temple and the temples that were there, the Nakshatra temples. So this is the different picture. This is the dam of that. And then there is this same thing. Now these are the pictures of Qutub Minar. Now, can you see this Qutub Minar pictures? These are all pillars which are showing our Vedic, I would say Sanatani engraved carvings. So this is, they are still existing. Some of them are still exist. Some of them have been made plain. They just made them plain to create that little mosque over there. But these pillars are still there, and the mandir remains are still there. You can see the different mandir remains. This is the, of course, inscription over there. See, you can absolutely make out this. This is again that area of that. One sec, I'm trying to see. So I have an eye problem. I'm not able to see, but it is again in that Rajghat area. And this is the Neeli Chhatri area. This I'm going to tell you something very interesting about Delhi. Very few people actually know. Delhi was always being invaded, we know. Time to time, people would come and invade Delhi because everybody wanted to station himself from Delhi because they thought they have achieved the level of the Pandav brothers. They have achieved the glory and the eminence of Pandav brothers. So they have to be at Delhi. So to prevent Delhi from being invaded, one Sadhuji said that we should have mandirs of Bhairav Baba in certain specific Vastu identified places. So this is a mandir which is near the Purana Killa. Then we have a Bhairav Baba ka mandir which is in Nehru Park in Chanakyapuri. We have one in Nehru Place near opposite Kalkaji Mandir. So there are these specific 4 or 5 places where we have a Mehru Baba ka mandir, which in a way it is said has actually stopped the physical invasion of Delhi. So physical invasion of Delhi has been stopped, but of course internally. Now this is, can you see the very, very ancient picture of Purana Killa? So Purana Killa was not like this, what we see today. It's a recreated medieval structure. It was not like that. And I would like to again go back to and show you what the Purana Killa must have been like when the Pandavas created, because this was created by an architect friend of ours who sort of got this image created after going through the text, that what text mentions about Purana Killa, what it would have been like. Just one second. It's a very, so they mention something very interesting. They mentioned they had white tall walls. And again, coming back to iron, they said that they had huge gates, and in the gates were these spikes of iron, metal, and those were to protect anybody from actually coming and banging the door. And there were these very well armed guards at the entry to the palace who were in armor of metal. So that means this place definitely had a very good center of metallurgy, you know. Very few people actually talk about all these things. I just want to show you one very interesting picture, and we took a lot of great pains. If you have time, I would like to actually you to hear this is it. So they had tall walls, white color walls, and it was on the banks of the Yamuna. So the Yamuna was flowing all around it, and inside was these palaces and different areas for the administration. And they had double entry doors and things like that, and they created this water bodies, etc. So I think we are a little clearer about our ancient Delhi as well as ancient Indraprastha and today's Delhi. And it was important for us to know that its area was very wide. When people talk about Indraprastha, they see the archaeologists become very narrow-minded. When you talk to an archaeologist, when he goes to a site, he will see the latitude and longitude, and he said, this is the place. So when you talk to an archaeologist, he say, Indraprasth mein to there is no PGW here, so we can't say this is Pandav. I said, look, the whole of Delhi was Indraprasth. It was not just little this Delhi, this area that was Indraprasth. Secondly, the modern historians, first of all, their concept of our history is absolutely confused, because there has been a great influence. See the Purana Killa area. There are 2 wells over there which they have covered. They have destroyed the waterways over there outside, and they've made a mess of it actually, And these are some of the old pictures of Purana Killa. This is the notification I was telling you about, which sort of, somewhere over here it says that this is Purana Killa Indrapat. So this is the 1930 notification of the British when they were planning the city of this place. This is that notification of the 1925 and 26 publication, which mentions the inscription as well as the name Indraprasth. This is the revenue record. This is the revenue map of 1877. So this map shows Indraprasth here, revenue map, and it shows the Indraprasth area. And this it gives the details, about the revenue details about the place, what is the population and what is the income and revenue collected from here. This is actually the book over there. And this is the habitation that was within the Purana Killa. You can see the library, Sher Shah's library. Incidentally, whatever physical monuments are there in Purana Killa, Indraprasth Killa, are the ones that were made by Humayun. And they're having some references, some you can see the reference of the ancient times also. So there was nothing, not Humayun, Sher Shah Suri. There is nothing of Humayun over here. nothing. And these are all the pictures. This is the excavation site, and it was 54, it was 54, 62, 69 to 72, and different times. Again, this is Purana Killa, and this is also an artist view, aerial view of the place. You know what we were trying to see. This is Mathura Road. So we have created a new plan for the government, that since the Pandavas had created that area with a lot of revived flora, fauna, and the waterways. You see, we have again here the waterways. You see, this is the water. This is the water that was there. I have seen it myself. I'm here for 30 years. I've seen boats being, plying over there. You know, people used to come in the evening for boat rides. It completely destroyed now. So we are telling them to create from this road, the Purana Killa road direct. And this side is the zoo. So connect this whole into a tourist destination of Delhi to know the history of Delhi. So these are all our small little efforts, and we have identified all this. And God willing, Krishna willing, and all the good wishes from you, all of you. I'm sure everybody ke boond boond ki good wishes aayenge to kuch ho jayega. And the walls, you see, now one more thing. If in a district magistrate is posted, even if he's there for 1 month or 6 months or 1 year or 3 years, his name is there on the board. Delhi has a rulers of 2000, almost 124 rulers. So the 124 rulers of 4,000 years, why their names are not there on anywhere? So Purana Killa is the place, because every ruler who came, he first came to Purana Killa. One more interesting fact about Delhi I would like to tell you. When Akbar was ruling this place, Bairam Khan was his main person. That is the time when, in collaboration with Afghans, there was this Hemu Chand. He defeated the army of Akbar and he crowned himself at Purana Killa and made himself ruler. But of course, it could not last long, because then Bairam Khan, came and attacked him. And again, he sort of beheaded him and things like that, and sent his head to the Afghans. And that is a historical fact, but I'm not talking of that. I'm just trying to tell you that a Hindu king also ruled Delhi, Indraprasth, even during the time of the Mughals. Even that information has to be recorded and put in put at the Purana Killa. Purana Killa should be the repository of the historical wealth of Delhi and the cultural wealth of Delhi. And it should also, there are these little cells all around where they were the astabals. They were the astabals for the Ghoda and Hathi and all. Those can be used to showcase every state of India. So it can be the hub to create the state, the India at a glance. So this is what, of course, this is, the Akshardham and all that. So I think I've tried to, in a bird's eye view, to give you an idea, run through the history of Delhi. Just one last point, I want to show you this book. So when we come to know that all this is happening, and when any visitor comes to Delhi, all he sees is a 500 years of Delhi, not even 500 years of Delhi, but we talk about 5,000 years of Delhi. So when they say, my historian friends told me, so many people, you talk of 5,000 years of Delhi, but what do we see of 5,000 years? We don't even see 2,000 years of Delhi. What do we do? So we were at it. We forced in the last 10 years. What we have managed to achieve is that now just a few days back, on 25th of this last month, a seminar was held called Anangpal II. That means Anangpal, who actually credited in making Delhi the established name in Delhi. And so that was held, and the plan is that the Lal Kot area will be, there are so many national sites, but Lal Kot, such an important site, was not even a national site under ASI. So it will be declared as a national protected site. There will be a huge statue of Anangpal II created, and the history of this Delhi will be recorded very sequentially and chronologically. So that is some little achievement that we have been able to let's say we have been able to uh, manage, and there is a lot more to be done, which I'm sure that gradually. Let me just put off the PPT now. And how do I go off? I don't know. How do I go off? It's off. Okay, good.
Yeah.
Because
We
I'm
can
sorry,
see
I have
now.
a very severe eye problem.
Uh,
So I hope it was not too heavy and not too
No,
difficult to
it was
understand.
very informative. It was very precise, and it was just to the level we could understand.
Yeah.
And it's amazing, like you have been able to capture so much into so little time.
Thank you.
We always wondered, like, why. In fact, when I was talking to someone in British High Commission, the officer there said that the tourism of Delhi is a graveyard tourism.
Yes.
So they take us to Rajghat, then we go to
Hmm.
Nehruji Samadhi, then we go to Humayun's tomb, then we go to Safdarjung's tomb. So he said,
Yes.
are there only graves to be seen in Delhi, or is there something
Yes.
lively about this place?
Hmm.
So this was a very candid remark coming from
I
someone who was.
would love to make a presentation to them, but they know a lot, because there is a book called Making of Delhi,
Yeah.
in which we have come to know the deep research the Britishers had done to identify the place of the Pandavas. That's why they call that area New Delhi. And they reserved it as Indraprastha.
Yeah, Prasun wants to say something. Yes, Prasun,
Yeah,
you're saying
sure,
something.
Prasun. Yes, please.
Yeah. Hi, this is Prasoon from Bhubaneswar. Ma'am, it was a very interesting session, especially because some of us look forward to questions that have to be answered of why we don't find anything which is pre-Mughal in Delhi, and sometimes we struggle with those questions. So thank you very much for enlightening us. I was just asking whether there is any resource that we can reference. There's a far huge amount of knowledge that you have and that you try to impart on through this presentation. What are those resources, or do you have a book or a publication that I can go through?
So as I told you, I'm just showing it here. As I told you that in 2015, when we came to know through newspaper reports that the ASI and the Aga Khan Foundation are trying to get this place renamed as Dimpana. So we sort of got that stopped. And then the first thing that I did was to do the first ever Indraprasth festival. In fact, that's why I said, if you have 2 minutes, 3 minutes more, I have a Indraprasth anthem. Maybe I can forward that anthem to Gyanendraji and he can forward it to everybody. You can listen at leisure. So we did a festival called the first Indraprasth Festival, which consisted of a conference, international conference, and an exhibition at Purana Kila. And this international conference book has been published. So it is a series of articles, very, very well researched articles that take you through the history of and the archaeology and the different types of aspects related to, because people have a curiosity, what was the architecture like? So there is a chapter on the architecture. So what was Yudhishthir's rule like? And if you actually go through the Mahabharata book and this chapter, which was done by one of the scholars who teaches in the St. Stephen's, he teaches the epic Mahabharata, you come to know that today we talk of CSR. Today we talk of gender equality. Today we talk of taking care of the masses. It's all there in the Mahabharata. Because when Bhishma Pitama was lying on the Shaya, Yudhishthir asked him, "आप मुझे ज्ञान दीजिए कि मुझे क्या करना है?" Then he tells him about Raj Dharma. And that whole Raj Dharma is encompassing the policies that a king should have so that his praja is happy. Because if the praja is happy, then only can the king, do justice to his rule. So this book of ours, we have this book. There is an Indraprasth Mahatma, but unfortunately, it's a very it's very rare. It's not like it's a Sanskrit book, but we have got all this information collected from scholars who are working on Indraprastha. I myself have done some work, and I have also mentioned Dayanand Saraswati's complete lineage of Aryan kings. And the antiquity, there are a lot of writers. If you want, I can share those books' names. Of course, I had given some of the names in my PPT, but I can share those books. This book is available on Amazon also. So we have written, compiled all this data. And this book, I got a very nice letter also from the Prime Minister. Actually, the Prime Minister was supposed to inaugurate this function. And something very interesting you would like to know. When we did this festival, I said, I am not the only one who's fighting for Indraprasth. There are many people who believe and who are living Indraprasth. So we called, you know who? We called a troop from Indonesia, Bali, because there they have a living tradition. There is a dance form called Wayang Kulit, through which they tell the stories of the Ramayana and the Mahabharata there. So they came, a troop of 15 came. We took the help of ICCR and Indonesian Embassy, and they performed in Purana Killa. We created a stage near Kunti Temple, and in that stage, they retold the story of the creation of Indraprasth, how Indraprasth was created as a city, as a place, as a Mahajanpad.
Amazing.
So
That's very
these are the
nice.
sources, we can give you, share the names and all that with you.
Please, ma'am. We look forward to that. Thank you so much, and all the very best to your endeavors to keep
Thank
the
you.
Indraprasth
Thank
alive.
you. Thank you.
Whatever we can contribute in, please let us know as well.
Please, I will
Thank you.
share everything. You see how you would like to contribute, be a part of the movement to a pressure, it's an advocacy. You can help us, because advocacy makes a lot of difference to the government and their policy. See, what we need is a very important policy. ASI has a policy that all ancient sites should remain in ruins, which is wrong. 90% of the budget of ASI, this is what I was fighting for. 90% goes in madrasas, in the Jama Masjid, in the recreating the Kabristans of Delhi. Every money goes there, but nothing goes for reviving and recreating the ancient aura of India. So we need people to help us with the advocacy. And if we can get some association with some international organizations to sort of take this forward, we have a very good plan for Purana Killa area. And we can share all that. And I think it's important that we revive these places.
If we can have some of those call to actions which are very specific for people to come in, I think it will be useful.
Yeah, I will share with you the communication that I've sent to the PMO. I will share with you the action points that we have requested for. And also I will share with you the possible ways in which, see, the government has one policy that if you bring in the money, then we can give you the place to redevelop. So like the Lal Killa has been taken by the Dalmias. So Dalmias have been given made in charge to recreate the museum there and do, to showcase the wealth. So in Lal Killa, we are going to soon have the Sikh history also to be recreated. In Tees Hazari Court, we will have the Tees Hazari people who lost their lives during the mutiny. Wo sab bhi aayega. But Indraprasth Killa, we need somebody, why my Ganendraji will tell us, I come from the land of Draupadi where she was born. You must know about Kapila, it's amazing history. And this is the land where she was the first queen of this place. So I call the trust Draupadi. We will definitely share all the details, and it would be a great pleasure and honor if whatever way you all can, sort of take this forward, help us to take this forward. And everybody is a part of the Draupadi Trust, because Draupadi to sabhi ke liye manya hai.
In fact, we can have a session separately on Kampilia and that work that you're doing from Draupadi Trust, because I think that's a very interesting story. And people would relate to that very easily, because it's part of the folklore that we have lived all these years.
Yes.
It's amazing. So
there are some very interesting books in the British Council, in the British archives, which you could also help us to source those. I've been looking for those also.
Maybe one Aga Khan Trust, which will be interested into the non-Muslim cause also.
Right.
So something like that.
Yeah.
All right,
so
ma'am.
I'm so happy. I'm so grateful that ये हमारी सनातन eternal. Sanatan is eternal. ये हमारी संस्कृति है. And इस संस्कृति को अगर हम नहीं दिखाएंगे, तो इसको नहीं nourish करेंगे. We have to nourish the roots of our civilization. So this is the roots of our civilization.
So I think just one suggestion here. We have this business network that we are it's still fledgling, nascent days yet. But if we can take this proposal of sponsorship to the business network, possibly there will be a larger coverage.
Fantastic. Yeah,
Right.
I'll
Or
correct.
maybe, Prasoon, what we can do, maybe we can have a separate session
Yeah.
for that business group, and
Yeah.
the community people staying abroad. I think they got a network of about 140, 150 people who are very well to do and who are interested in picking up causes which is still unexplored. So we can push it
And
there also.
there is one thing I had created. I done a study on how cultural tourism can be a good source of employment generation. So just on 26th, I was invited by the Knowledge Chamber of Gujarat and they are doing some project in Delhi. So they came to know about my work. I was introduced to them. So they have sort of, there I made that presentation also that I can show you. I mean, I will share that with you also, that when we make that project, how it can lead to job creation.
It's a good idea.
Hmm.
So at least I think that we can make a beginning first of all by petitioning the government to name back Pandara Road to Pandava Road at least. So that will be
Yes,
the
that will be a,
minimum that we can do.
yes, because
And
that's a clerical error they're admitting in their books.
yeah, so
Yeah.
when we can rename Tughlaq Road, so that
Yeah.
so why not
We
Pandava
should
Road?
have more roads. In Bali, there is a road by the name of Draupadi. In
Bataiye.
Chennai, there are 5 temples called Draupadi Amman temples. But अरे भाई अर्जुन के नाम से कर लो युधिष्ठिर के नाम से कर लो. Actually, one more thing, if you all can help me, I'm just trying to show you. I will share on WhatsApp. There is a Central Vista recreation. So when it started, I told them that Delhi cannot be complete without the statue of Krishna, because Krishna laid the foundation of Indraprastha. So they have, I had written to the PM about 9 months, 10 months ago. Just about 2 months ago, the plan of CPWD has come, and they have shown in the plan a statue on the banks of the Yamuna. But they are not naming the statue. I want that it should only be Krishna and nobody else. So I'll share that also if that advocacy can be done. And I'll also share why it should be Krishna. So मैं आपको ना WhatsApp पे let us share, and then let's have a meeting with Prasun ji. Let's have a
Ji.
Zoom, and first
Yeah.
I share the information, and then we can sort of break it up into what more is needed, and how we can take it
Yeah,
forward.
he is
On a,
resourceful, and
on
I
a,
think, yeah, Prasoon.
Genza, on a lighter note, I think if we go with Hidimbi's name, which is more maybe can get a connection to